Shalom. I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you regarding the results of the Israeli elections and what it means for the peace process. With over 99% of the votes counted, the Israeli election results are as follows. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's political party, the Likud, received the most votes in the election, which represents 30 seats. The Zionist Union political party, formerly known as Labor, who merged with Israel chief negotiator in the peace process Tzipi Livni's Hatnua party, received 24 seats. The joint Arab parties received 13 seats. The secular Yesh Atid party, headed by Yair Lapid, received 11 seats. The newly formed socially economic-minded Kulanu party, headed by Moshe Kalin, received 10 seats. The religious Zionist Jewish Home Party received 8 seats. The ultra-Orthodox Sephardic Party Shas received 7 seats. The ultra-Orthodox Ashkenazi United Torah Judaism received 6 seats. The Russian-based political party Israel Beitenu, headed by current Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman, received 6 seats. And the far-left party Meretz received 5 seats. The Israeli Knesset consists of 120 members. In order to form a government, you need a coalition of parties of at least 61 members. Benjamin Netanyahu is the leader of the Likud political party. Since the Likud political party got the most votes in the Israeli election, Netanyahu will be given the opportunity to talk with other parties to form a coalition government. When he does, who is most likely to join his government coalition? Prior to the elections, Netanyahu said that he would not form a unity government. A unity government is when two of the largest parties in Israel form a government together. Therefore, Netanyahu said that he will not form a government with the Zionist Camp Party, formerly known as Labor. The Zionist Camp Party is headed by Isaac Herzog. He is in partnership with Tzipi Livni in leading the party. In the last Israeli government, Tzipi Livni was in Netanyahu's government and was the chief negotiator in the peace process with the Palestinians. However, because of her independent thinking and criticism of Netanyahu's policies while being in the government, Netanyahu fired her along with the leader of the party Yesh Atid, Yair Lapid, who was also in Netanyahu's government and criticized his policies. As a result, it is highly unlikely that the Zionist camp and Yesh Atid will be in Netanyahu's new government coalition. The United Arablist Party has also indicated they will not be in Netanyahu's government. In past Netanyahu governments, the ultra-Orthodox parties of Shas and United Torah Judaism have been in his coalition. Shas chairman Ari Deri said that his party would support Benjamin Netanyahu as prime minister, saying, "We are with you, Benjamin Netanyahu. Our public and your public are brothers." Furthermore, Deri has said that there is no possibility that he would sit in a coalition together with Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid. This is because in the last government, Yair Lapid backed a new law that would require the ultra-Orthodox to serve in the Israeli military. If they would refuse to serve in the military, Lapid advocated criminal sanctions against them. The ultra-Orthodox party Shas and United Torah Judaism also opposed this law. Knesset member Yaakov Litzman of the ultra-Orthodox party United Torah Judaism also said that his party would not sit in government with Yesh Atid and its leader Yair Lapid. Litzman said, "I will not sit with Lapid, plain and simple." Litzman added that Lapid can repent, but that will not change his mind about being part of the same coalition as Lapid. If Lapid wants to repent, let him repent. Let him be in opposition for one term, praise the ultra-Orthodox yeshiva students who study the Torah, support them in their budgets and child allowances, and then in the next term we may sit together with him, he said. As far as I know, the position of the Council of Torah Sages is the same, that we will absolutely not sit in a government with Lapid, added Litzman. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he opposes criminal sanctions for ultra-Orthodox draft dodgers approved by his government. We are one Israeli people. I think the whole issue of criminal sanctions that were imposed is something that we should do away with. A Jew should not have to go to prison for studying the Torah. In response, Yesh Atid Chairman Yair Lapid said that the Israeli High Court will never allow the cancellation of a law passed last year that stipulates that if the target number of ultra-Orthodox draftees into the Israeli military is not reached by 2017, ultra-Orthodox draft dodgers will be treated the same as others who refuse to serve in the Israeli army, and thus will be subject to criminal sanctions. According to Lapid, they cannot cancel the security service law. All of military enlistment to the Israeli Defense Forces in Israel is based upon it. So what do they care to promise something that they know can't happen? We cannot cancel the equality of the burden. The state of Israel cannot afford to cancel, and I will certainly not sit in a government that will cancel it, he said. It is a holy principle that all citizens of the country have the same rights, Lapid continued. We will not allow this equality of the burden to be overthrown or shot down. We will not sit in any government that tries to do so. Finally, Lapid said that he will not sit in government with Benjamin Netanyahu. The far-left Meretz party has also said that it's opposed to being in government with Benjamin Netanyahu. The new party in this election, Kulanu, headed by former Likud political party member Moshe Kalin, said that he would join any government where he can bring down Israeli housing prices. In the last elections, Israel Beitenu chairman Avigdor Lieberman ran on a joint election ticket with the Likud political party of Benjamin Netanyahu. In this election, Lieberman said that there was no chance that his Israel Beitenu will sit in the same coalition with the far leftist Meretz party, who won 5 seats. As a result of all these things, it is most likely that Netanyahu will form a religious right government of his own party, Likud, along with Kulanu, Jewish Home, Shas, United Torah Judaism, and Israel Beitenu. This government would have 67 seats. U.S. President Barack Obama gave a cold response to the election victory of Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu by waiting 2 full days to congratulate him for winning the Israeli elections. Furthermore, the morning after the elections found U.S.-Israel relations more shaky than ever before. The U.S. State Department made a few things clear. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's call to congratulate Netanyahu on his election victory was very cold. The two did not talk policy at all, said spokeswoman Jen Psaki of the U.S. State Department. In fact, the message that the U.S. is conveying to Israel is that everything other than the most routine cooperation regarding security, intelligence, and military is open to question. Palestinians responded to the Israeli election results by saying that there was no other choice but to re-examine relations with Israel. Israel must choose peace with the Palestinian people or the continued occupation of the land of Palestine, Abbas declared. Saeb Erekat, chief Palestinian negotiator in peace talks with Israel, said that Netanyahu's election victory showed the success of a campaign based on settlements, racism, apartheid, and the denial of the fundamental rights of the Palestinian people. The day before the March 17th Israeli elections, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed that if re-elected, he will build thousands of homes in East Jerusalem to prevent future concessions to the Palestinians, saying, "I won't let that happen. My friends and I in the Likud will preserve the unity of Jerusalem. We will continue to build in Jerusalem, and we will add thousands of housing units, and in the face of all international pressure, we will persist and continue to develop our eternal capital." Netanyahu further said, "I think that anyone who establishes a Palestinian state and evacuates land is giving a radical Islam a staging ground against the state of Israel. This is the reality that was created here over the past few years. Whoever ignores this is burying their heads in the sand. The left is doing this, burying its head in the sand time after time. We are realistic and we understand. The real test is who will build the next government. I'm not going to fold. They would not be concentrating efforts against me if they didn't understand that I'm the last line of defense. They understand this. We face tremendous pressures and we will continue to work." Furthermore, Netanyahu said that he objects to a Palestinian state, saying that Israel faces a series of international initiatives meant to return it to the pre-1967 borders and to divide Jerusalem. In an interview, he was asked, "If you are prime minister, there will be no Palestinian state?" Netanyahu answered, "Indeed, this would be the case." The Obama administration reacted to Netanyahu's words by saying that there will be consequences if Netanyahu no longer supports an independent Palestinian state. A senior Obama administration official said, "We are signaling that if the Israeli government's position is no longer to pursue a Palestinian state state, we're going to have to broaden the spectrum of options we pursue going forward. Another official said, there are policy ramifications to what Netanyahu said. While the U.S. is indicating that it would not cut back its financial and military support for Israel, it did indicate that it may be far less supportive of Israel at the UN Security Council. Senior American officials said that the Obama administration was still evaluating all of its options, but strongly suggested that the U.S. would ease its staunch opposition to Palestinians turning to the UN Security Council to create a state. Carefully planted rumors have been circulating around the U.S. for weeks that the U.S. is considering presenting a new peace plan at the UN Security Council that would bypass direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority in attempts to impose a solution to the conflict. A second official confirmed the U.S. could decide not to veto Security Council resolutions. The officials were not authorized to speak by name about internal deliberations and commented only on condition of anonymity. The U.S. State Department spokesman Jen Psaki said that the U.S. was still not going to get ahead of any decisions about what the United States would do with regard to potential action at the UN Security Council. Asked repeatedly about whether the U.S. would maintain its veto policy, Psaki said simply that the Prime Minister's recent statements call into question his commitment to a two-state solution, but that doesn't mean that we've made a decision about changing our position with respect to the UN. However, the statement in itself, that is a refusal to commit to a veto, is itself a changed position. The New York Times reported that according to several administration officials, the Obama administration is now seriously considering agreeing to the passage of a UN Security Council resolution embodying the principles of a two-state solution that would include Israel's 1967 borders with Palestine and mutually agreed swaps of territory. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry reaffirmed that the U.S. is committed to a two-state solution to the Arab-Israeli conflict, saying, "The position of the United States with respect to our long-expressed hope, the Republicans and the Democrats alike, and many presidents of the last 50 years or more, has always been for peace, and President Obama remains committed to a two-state solution," Kerry said. After his election victory, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu clarified his position on a Palestinian state, saying, "I never retracted my speech in Bar Ilan University in 2009, calling for a demilitarized Palestinian state that recognized the Jewish state," Netanyahu said. "I want a sustainable, peaceful two-state solution," he said, "but for that, circumstances have to change." Netanyahu blamed Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas for being responsible for part of that change, saying that he refuses to recognize Israel as a Jewish state and has made a pact with Hamas that calls for Israel's destruction. He said that history has shown that all territory vacated in the Middle East is taken over by Islamic extremist forces. If you want to get peace, you've got to get the Palestinian leadership to abandon their pact with Hamas and engage in genuine negotiations with Israel for an achievable peace, he said. "We have to also make sure that we don't have ISIS coming into that territory. It's only 24 miles away from our border." So it seems that any honeymoon period with any new Israeli government will be short, and neither the European Union nor the United States will have much patience for promises of developing new policies toward the Palestinians, according to Western diplomatic officials. Israel will need an initiative to convince both the European Union and the United States of its seriousness in working toward a two-state solution, the officials said. The U.S. Special Envoy to last year's Israel-Palestinian peace talks, Martin Indyk, said that Israel will likely face a UN Security Council resolution proposed that would be written against Israel's will. Well, that's going to conclude this week's report, where we shared with you the results of the March 17th Israeli elections and the potential impact that it will have on the Israeli-Palestinian peace process as things move forward from this point. Until we do it again, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.